is also the faculty for today's program. The WTC wing of IDA Malabar has also been very active this year, and we have had a number of programs conducted by them too. Kudos to Dr. Samira and Dr. Shebi and the vibrant team of WTC IDA Malabar for their efforts. With these words, may I extend my best wishes for today's CDE program. Endodontic Journey Through Curved Canals by Dr. Unikrishna. I'm sure it would be a very interesting and informative session, since this is the one journey Dr. Unikrishna undertakes on a daily basis, and a journey of which he is really passionate about. Once again, let me thank the IDA Malabar office for giving me this opportunity to address you all. And may I wish all the best and all success for today's program, and also for all the programs that are going to be conducted as a part of this number 20 Malabar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Susha, ma'am, for those kind words. Let me share my screen. Is it visible? Or... Pravish, I hope everything is fine.
Yes, everything is fine. All clear.
Thank you, Dr. Susha, ma'am, for this kind words. Before I go into today's topic, let me introduce, as since I'm also the CD convener here. It's not coming next. Wait. Yes. Tomorrow and day after, we have introduced a few of the webinars. Tomorrow and day after, it will be on crown preparation and what to do after crown preparation. It is in collaboration with 3M. Please kindly do support us like you have been supporting us till now. It will be a mega CD, and the coordinator, the faculty for tomorrow will be an MDS prosthodontist, Dr. Manikya. She's a faculty of 3M, and I've heard a few of her lectures, and I'm sure that it will be a very good one. Now, coming back to today's topic. Right. First of all, I would like to thank IDA Malabar office bearers for letting me present this topic, for giving me this opportunity, and more than that, all these members of IDA Malabar for tuning into this topic also. Thank you. Thanks a lot. IDA Malabar has always been a family like to me, and I wanted this to be a very informal discussion. So please do feel free to interrupt me if you have any clarifications. Finally, as always, before starting any lecture, I would like to thank all the faculty members, juniors, seniors of my alma mater, Government Dental College, Calicut, and to all those patients who have come over and given me the opportunity to treat them and also to learn from them. Now, coming back to today's topic, endodontic journey through curved canals. I hope at least for those people residing in Kozhikode, can you recognize this background picture? It is a ghat road very close to our place.
Tamarasheri Chara.
Yes, Tamarasheri Chara. So for our weekend getaways and all, it's a very scenic route. It's a place we all go. The idea behind this is that this is in the daylight. It is very curved. It was recently renovated, and now it's much better road now. But still, usually it was very narrow with a lot of gutters and everything. If there is no traffic, usually it is a very breeze to go. Now I would like to draw some similarities to that road, to the normal ghat roads, with this root canal anatomy. Why? Because when we travel through these ghat roads, we have always seen that the tiny bikes, small cars always zoom through the normal small spaces. But if you're going in a normal transport buses, or we often get stuck behind big lorries, trucks. That's because the huge vehicles might need to get, come back, reverse, and again reorient themselves and go. But the tiny car and bike, the riders, they can always negotiate the curved canals, very curved roads very easily. So that forms the gist of today's topic and today's seminar. This is I know that we have a lot of non-Malayali friends also. This is only slide, but this is actually the gist of the entire webinar today. If you have seen this slide, that is enough. That means this is like, please take that small screwdriver, meaning when you see such canals, what you have to do is ask your assistant to, please remove all those small tiny files, 10K files, 8 files. These are the files which are going to run the show, which is going to negotiate those canals, do everything for you. Now, out of these hand files, these 4 files, or maybe the first 3 files, 6, 8, and 10, they will be very indispensable for negotiating these curved canals. Okay, so how to tackle these curves? Actually, this is one of my posts. It's actually my first post in Endo Haveli. I hope you all know. It's very famous Facebook group. That was my first post there in 2000, as you can see here, in 2018. It was a remote GP clinic. We had just, we didn't have RVG. We had to send the patient outside for X-rays to another clinic. And I was very surprised to see this result. And this, what I had used only 6 to 20K files, hand files first. That is what this forms. See, next photo I'll show you. We'll explain. Yeah. So in this you can see the curvature. See, there's a very S-shaped curvature. Can you see this? Yeah. And that was negotiated only because of the hand files, because of efficient use, or because of overuse of hand files, if you can say. Okay. Yeah, that forms the gist of today's topic. Now, why do we lack the skills required to negotiate a curved canal? That is only because we don't train for severely curved canals. Because severe canals that are willing for RCT is not very common in our practice. And even if such patients do come, in the best interest of the patient, we say it's very curved, it's very tiny, it's calcified, it's better that you extract. There's too much of risk, I cannot guarantee success, and all that, isn't it? That's what we do in our normal day-to-day practice. Otherwise, otherwise we would refer to an endodontist, a guy who is dealing only with his day-to-day practices only in endodontics. But as far as root canals are concerned, straight canals are an exception. Okay, even in the distal molars or palatal root of, even you think that a lateral, centrals and laterals, upper central, upper laterals are usually straight, but they might have a apical curvature. So straight canals are an exception; they are not the rule. It is usually seen as gradual curves, gradual distal curve throughout the canal. You know that we have all the canals will be having a gradual curve towards the distal. Sharp apical curvature is also seen in some cases. Dilacerated root canals, S-shaped, banana-shaped, J-shaped. Different authors have classified it into different, have given different names. Okay. Now what we need to do is that we need to plan a strategy so that we can prevent iatrogenic errors. It is already a tough case. We know that. Now we should be careful not to make any mistakes from our part. Okay, what are the iatrogenic errors that we commonly encounter in curved canals? Ledges, blockages, apical transportation, strip perforation, zips, instrument fracture, etc. To prevent all these things, we have to plan a strategy, and then we have to recognize the curves. To recognize the curves, first and foremost, pre-op radiograph is a must. Actually, I would, in all my classes, I would advise my students or my colleagues to do that. Never start, not even an RC opening, without a good pre-op radiograph. Don't start a case without a pre-op, and don't finish a case without master cone. That is our motto. That should be the motto, actually. A minimum of an IOPA. RVG, if you have the liberty to take it into multiple angles, assess the curves at a different planes. CBCT, very good. CBCT, very good. If you have micro CT, that is the best. But micro CT gives the best clarity and the best what measurement and everything. But when we compare the amount of radiation the patient has to go through, CBCT is usually enough, and CBCT is easily available also. At least in all major cities, we will be having a CBCT center. At the very minimum, at least a proper RVG and IUPA is required. Another advantage of having a CBCT or a micro CT is that you can actually measure at what point the curve starts. Okay, you don't actually need to do a working length. You can initially, even before opening the canal, you can say that you can identify that there is going to be a curvature at the 16th mm. After this, there is going to be curvature. So, and also to assess curvature at multiplanar stages. It's not just buccolingual. It's not just buccolingual. It might be even mesiodistal, like that. Okay, CBCT is a very great tool. Now coming to that successful RCT, what do you need for a successful RCT? You have to negotiate the anatomy. That's the first step. Okay, and if you're successful in negotiating the anatomy and reaching the apex, your work is half done. You just have to enlarge the canals. You just have to shape it so that the canal can receive a GP or an obturation filling. And before that, you have to irrigate. So you have to shape it so that all the irrigating fluids and all enter into the canal, reach apex, take all the debris, clean the biofilms and take it out. But for that, you have to negotiate the anatomy. Right. Now, to reach the apex, to negotiate the anatomy, what is these are the factors that affect this flexibility of the instrument. Okay, diameter of the instrument. The thicker, more flexible files or reamers are more flexible because of that flukes. So compared to a 10 reamer and a 10K file, 10 reamer will be more flexible. So you can select depending upon that. Diameter of the instrument. As the diameter of the instrument increases, the flexibility decreases. Instrumentation technique, we will be discussing about that after this. Now, location of the foraminal opening. The foramen might not be at the root apex. It might be a bit more at maybe at the side. Okay, all that depends. All that we need to understand so that we can negotiate the apex and negotiate the anatomy. Okay, reach the apex. Now, again, the same slides. To identify potential challenges, even before the onset of RCT, IUPA and RVG, CBCT is necessary. Why? Mesiodistal or buccolingual or both, multiplanar curves. We need to recognize that even before we start that root canal. Okay, start that, do an axis opening. I put the slide again because I wanted to stress on this slide on the importance of pre-op radiograph. Right. Come to the next. Yeah, I found this very beautiful review article about all the classification and how to identify the curvature, how to quantify the curvature of the root canal so that you can, do access the plan or strategy. Okay, here, according to the anatomic location, they have classified. According to the anatomic location, they have classified into apical third, middle third, and coronal third, out of which apical third and middle third are okay, normal. We have more experience in negotiating that, but coronal third curvatures, we have to be even more careful because after the coronal third, there is a lot more for the file to negotiate. So we have to be careful there. Then there are a lot of classification. At the very basic, we must at least know Schneider's classification. It's regarding, it is classified according to the angle it makes. This is the Schneider's classification. The first point, yeah, I'll tell you how to do this. The first point, A, that is the orifice opening on a pre-op radiograph. The first point A is on the orifice opening. The point B is on the first curvature, and point C is at the root apex. Okay, and then now you have to draw two lines intersecting A and B, and another line intersecting B and C. The angle, this angle A and B makes with the B and BC is what depend how, that is how we classify. If it is less than 5, yeah, if the curvature is less than 5, if this angle is less than 5, theta has classified into a small curvature. Okay, if it is between 5 and 20 degrees, it is a moderate curvature. And if it is even more than that, it is more than 20 degrees, this will be a curvature. You have to be very careful. Use copious amount of irrigation, copious number of K files, small files, and then do a good. You have to create a super glide path. You have to be very careful. New files, everything. Okay. Now, incidence of ledge formation. That is the easiest. That's the first ledge formation is the first mistake, the first iatrogenic error that we make. And in a curved canal, if it's a straight canal, the incidence of ledge formation is only 12%. But in a severely curved canal, the ledge formation is 52%. So that is what. If we know how to, if we know even beforehand, before we do this, start this root canal RCT treatment, if we know this, then we can be properly prepared. BMP, biomechanical preparation, consists of cleaning and shaping, right? That is the basic core, basic what we have learned in our BDS degree. Now, coming to that, the first part of this is SLA, straight line axis. After you create a straight line axis, you have to create a glide path, the path through which your files reach the apex. And once you reach the apex, you have to maintain the patency. This is the basic core of our biomechanical preparation. There is no changes in that. Okay. You have to follow this religiously. Now, coming to access opening, we have had a very beautiful seminar, very informative seminar by our own member, Dr. Namita Divakar. It is available in our IDA YouTube channel. Please go through that. It will be very helpful if you have any doubts, even otherwise. Now, when you start with an axis, I would always advise you to start with a conservative axis to conserve the tooth. Don't go very wide opening and all. Conserve the tooth structure and do a very normal conservative axis. But don't go for herodontics. Don't go for ninja axis to truss axis and all that. A normal axis where you can see all the 3 canals where you expect to find. And then if insert your hand files, if you feel that there is some stress on the hand file, then you can selectively remove dentine to relieve that stress. Okay. But another advice that I would like to give you, please do use magnification and ultrasonics to remove the dentine, to selectively remove dentine. Use ultrasonics. If you use magnification, it totally changes the game. It is a new experience. Please do that. If you're not using magnification or ultrasonics, you can go for the traditional wide axis. Yeah, this is the picture I wanted to tell you. In this such constricted cases where this ledge of dentine is exerting pressure on the file, if you don't have a straight line axis, straight line to this curve, straight line axis means at least if you can see the apex, if it's a straight canal, straight line axis till the apex. Or if you cannot see the apex, if it's a curved canal, at least to the first curvature. Yeah, at least to the first. If this ledge of dentine, if this piece of dentine exerts force on this file, there will be a reciprocal force on the file trying to come this side. Okay, exert, and hence it will create a ledge. Now, if you can remove this part of the dentine, you will get a proper straight line axis and directly into the canal. Now, what is scouting? Scouting is trying to feed the interior canal anatomy with your smallest stainless steel hand file. You need a bit of, you need to do at least 2-3 cases so that you can recognize all that small curvatures and the internal anatomy. What you need to do is pre-curve the smallest hand file, 6 or 8 or 10, which is available. Or ideally start with 8. I would advise you to start with 8. And then feed the interior of the canal. It should act as, that file tip should act as the extension of your fingers. Okay, try to feel it with your fingers. Establish guide path and then patents. Since these initial files are dead soft. Okay, an impression of the canal curvature will be imprinted on the file. If the file curves at a particular side, when you take it out, there will be a curve there, or if it's too tight, there will be unwinding of the flutes. So, from this point, from the stopper to the first, from the stopper to the first kink, there is this much length. So at this length of working length, there is a kink. You have to be careful. After that, you have to negotiate that kink first, widen that part of the file and part of the canal, and then go to the apical part. Okay. Another advice that I would like to tell you is mark buccal and lingual side on the handle to orient the file. If you mark it, stopper is there is, you get that mark on the stopper, that is true. But sometimes when you twist it, when you do watch winding motion, the stopper moves, stopper interferes, and then it goes. Okay, and then you will have to take it out and again curve. It's too cumbersome. It's better to mark it on the lingual side or on the handle itself, handle of the file. Compare all this above that information that you have got, the impression of the canal, where it starts to kink and all that, with your pre-op radiograph, and then continue with your canal negotiation. Okay. Yeah, this is what I was trying to tell you. The initial, this is a D finder, Mani D finder used for initial scouting the file. I just put it into the canal, and then you can see there is a curvature here. So this much part is the coronal part, and after that curvature is the apical part. You have to first enlarge till this end, this entire end, then go for the, what we are going to learn is the ground down technique, which is what I'm trying to explain. Okay. So, and after you enlarge this part, you have to the coronal part, then you have to go enlarge the apical part. Okay. Now, file versus reamer. Files are more easily available to us from our dealers. So the first thing that we use in our file, in our canal, is a file. But reamer is definitely there, is definitely available. Please do. Which I think waiting room, a few people are there. Right. Files versus reamer. In a file, the number of contact points in a file is more compared per mm is more compared to a reamer. So there is more engagement of dentine. More engagement of dentine means more friction. If it is a very tight canal, all these parts will be engaging into the dentine, will create more friction, and there is a chance of unwinding, float, file fracture, canal transportation. It can straighten this canal, and it won't follow. It will try to straighten the canal. It won't follow the canal. Okay. So if it's a reamer is made of a more softer material, and the number of contact points here is lesser, is actually half than that of file. So the dentine engagement will be less, and hence the friction also, more space for the debris, and there is less chance of fracture or apical transportation or zipping. Okay. You can always try from tomorrow onwards. Just ask your dealer to get a reamer and use it and see. Now, if for scouting you need stiffer files, there are specific files, heat-treated files available. They are stiffer. You can push through the canals. C-Pilot and C+. C-Pilot from VDW, C+ from Densplay. They are useful for scouting and initial guide path preparation. Always you can try that. If you feel that your normal Mani files are not being able to negotiate into the canal, they're kinking at the tip, they get bunched at the tip, you can always go for stiffer files. Now, you must always, before inserting into this file, you must always pre-curve the file. Pre-curve your hand file. Okay, this. By what I mean by pre-curve is not the entire gradual curve that you do with your regular files. If for such scouting, you need to curve only the apical 2 or 3 flutes. Okay, the best instrument for this is this one, Buchanan's Endobender. It is I think you will have to import it. It's a bit costly also. It is bought in India by I think Sopron Endo Cavocur, but since the Cavocur is stopping operations in India, it will be it will be even more tougher to get it. It's a very good instrument, but even if you don't have this, you can use a tweezer, hand plow, hemostat, whatever is available. You just have to put a sharp bend, not acute bend, a sharp bend at the apical 2 or 3 flutes only. Okay. In the demo part, I'll tell you. What you have to be careful is that you don't damage the flute itself. Okay, you have to be gentle and you have to curve. Another thing that we can do is use a mirror handle or a probe handle. We can take a probe, okay, and take a 10K file. The probe has got a very small handle, a very small diameter here. Your apical part, you just have to put it here on this against this handle. Press on that apical part with your thumb, and what you get is a sharp curvature. I hope you can. You can't wait. After this, I'll show you on the. I'll stop the screen share and I'll show you. All these things should be done in a workshop with a hands-on. Anyway, we'll do the best what we can. Yeah, this is a picture. This is a normal straight canals, straight file which we get. We give a gradual curve, yes, but for scouting, this is what you need. The apical 2 or 3 flutes. Okay. And then you have to put it into the file. You have to mark which side the curvature is, and then you have to put into the canal and then feel the canal curvature with that file. Okay, I hope it's very easy to tell you, I know, but it needs experience. It needs to do a few cases. Do it on, you can always practice on extracted too. Okay. That's my policy. Don't, whatever teeth that I extract in my clinic, I do endo in that. Okay, I always try to do endo in that. So that's one tip that I can. Now, coming to coronal enlargement. You need coronal enlargement so that there is lesser stress on the file when it negotiates, when it reaches the apex. Okay, when it negotiates the apical anatomy. You can use an orifice opener. There are specialized orifice openers available like SX from Dentsply. It is to be used only in the coronal 1/3, maximum 6 to 7, 8 mm, whatever. Okay, only in the coronal 1/3. It is so that it does not encounter interferences from the coronal entry. If you do this coronal enlargement, less stress on the file. Okay, and after you do that coronal enlargement, our next priority is to create a glide path, a path for the larger files to follow. First, what we have to do is you have to use recurved stainless steel hand files. Okay, you get hand files 6, 8, 10 onwards are available. We all know that, yes, but we don't routinely use 8 or 6. But please do make it a habit, at least in these curved canals. It's always better to start with an 8. If 8 does not go, or if 8 things, 8 unwinds, you see flutes unwinding, shift back to 6, and then work it out till the apex. Okay, take a radiograph, working length radiograph, and when you take a working length radiograph, you will get those angles. What, like Schneider's classification, like what I try to explain to you, you will get the angles. You don't have to make a printout, or you don't have to mark, take a scale and then keep on making angles. This is enough. the put a stainless steel hand file, 10K hand file, take a working length radiograph, and then you can calculate on inside your mind. That's enough. Okay, to give you a general idea. Now, after you have created a glide path up to 10K, once the 10K is super loose inside the inside your root canal, shift to nitty hand file. Nitty hand files are available. Please do ask them, and intermediate sizes also. As stainless steel hand files, nitty hand files are all available in intermediate sizes. See, the idea is when you shift from 10K to 15K, the increase in diameter is 50%. It might be too much for some of the curves to handle. Okay, you might ledge it. So if you go from 10 to 12 and then to 15, the increase in diameter is a bit more manageable. Okay, the curves might be a bit more easier. Your file will negotiate the curves much more easier. Now there is something called a reciprocating handpiece. A very useful tool. It mimics your watch winding motion. When we use nitty hand files or stainless steel hand files, what the idea is we have to do watch winding motion. Right. Watch winding is this. Only this motion. You don't have to keep on twisting. Just the watch winding motion. Now, this reciprocating handpiece gets I'll show you the photo. Yeah, I'll show you the photo. It gets attached into the micromotor, and it eases your hand fatigue. Okay. The reciprocating handpiece are available at different angles. The reciprocation, the one that is advisable is 30 forward and 30 backward. 30 degrees forward, 30 degrees backward. That mimics our watch winding motion. Because of this, it will be within the torsional limit, the physical limits of the file. Because you are only 30-30 watch winding motion. Okay. Now, after you create a glide path with your nitty hand files, 10 or with the 12 or 15 nitty hand files inside a reciprocating handpiece, you can shift to rotary glide path files for creating a super glide path. Meaning, after that is, you may not need it for all cases. Okay. Glide path files are a bit more costly. Yes, I know that. If you have a reciprocating handpiece and if you have nitty hand files, most of the cases it might be enough. But for dilacerated cases, just to be sure, before you make a entry with your normal rotary hand files, just to be sure, you can use ProGlider by Dentsply, the rotary hand file. Many companies have come up with that. Yeah, these are the K files. This is always available in my kit. 6, 8, and 10 always it should be there, and definitely 6, 8, and 10 are all single-use files. Even if there are no kings, 6 and 8 they won't escape without kings. Okay, that's for sure. You put it inside the canal, work it out, and then throw it. That's it. 10 case, even if there is no king, there is a slight fracture or something can happen in your next case. So it's always better to do always this 6, 8, and 10 files, negotiating files. If you have used it in a tight canal, in a very curved canal, it's always better to discard after one use. Now, this is the intermediate files that I was trying to tell you. After 10K, if it's a curved canal, instead of going into 15, please use this 12 and then use 15. That will create a better glide path. This 12 files will be able to negotiate that canal anatomy much more easily. This is the reciprocating handpiece that I was trying to tell you. Yeah, you can attach your hand files into this. You can pre-curve your hand file, put it into the canal, and then attach once it's snugly fit into the canal, you can attach your reciprocating handpiece, activate, and that means what is happening is watch winding motion in a much faster way. And it is only 30-30 degrees, so it is well within the physical limits of your K5. or whichever file that you're using. If you have used a new file, I can assure you that the chances of breakage is very, very minimal. This is a ProGlider file available from Dentsply. In a step, you get 3 files. Right. When you negotiate when you're negotiating the canal anatomy with hand files, a passive movement with light touch is what is needed. Okay, you should not force it. You have to be very careful not to force the files into the canal. Do slight watch winding motion passively. Tease the file into the canal. Okay, the hole is already there. You just have to tease the file into the canal and enlarge it. Okay, that's why I want to stress passive movement with light touch. Now, coming on to stainless steel files, don't use larger files. Stainless steel files in a curve canal 10, that is enough. You go to 15, you might let's it. So after 10 stainless steel, go to nitty 12. Then if you want nitty 15 inside your reciprocating handpiece, and then you can go for your normal rotary files. Okay, it may change the internal, larger stainless steel files can also change the internal structure of the canal and there is increased chance of canal transportation or straightening of the canal. These stainless steel files has to be used only after pre-curving. Multiple canal curvatures will put incredible strain on the files. So even if there is no kinking, no physical changes on the file, please do make it a point to discard after one use, or at least find reasons to discard your files. Okay, if there's a kink there, the color has faded, there's a slight unwinding at the tip or slight unwinding at the center, discard. Find reasons to discard your hand files. Okay, hand files and rotary. Now coming to chelating agents, I use is EDTA paste. Yes, EDTA paste with hand files, so that if you're using EDTA paste with a rotary file, since it makes the dentine softer, there is a greater chance of ledging and all that. It can make it tougher. Hypochlorite, sodium hypochlorite, what you're using is enough actually for this. It has got a slight slipperiness which is needed, which is enough for rotary file. Flood the chamber with hypochlorite, full strength hypo if possible. Use rubber tanks, use full strength hypo, do pre-endo build up, and then do rotary. That's more than enough. Then debris in the flutes can cause blocks and ledges. So after withdrawing the file from the canal, you have to wipe the flutes, wipe the file on a gauze piece, sterile gauze piece, put spirit on the gauze, and then wipe, and then recurve and then insert. Okay. What we need is a slow, consistent enlargement. Don't try to skip sizes. And these are tight, tough cases. Your file is already undergoing incredible amount of stress, and if you skip ISO sizes, then it's sure that you will ledge. Okay. Use intermediate sizes of files, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 17, go like that in a sequence. Okay. Coming to nitty hand files, there are 2% paper files available. They increase the diameter of the glide path without affecting the canal anatomy. Okay. The canal anatomy is not, since it is nitty, it is hyper flexible. It will follow the canal anatomy. It can be used either in hand, definitely, or an easier way is by using in a 30-30 degree reciprocating handpiece. The first one was by Sebron and Doe. Now a lot of other companies are also coming out. What I have is from BDS. That's fine. It is not what you have. It is not the file, or it is not the equipment that you have. It is your technique. So watch winding is what is needed. Reciprocating handpiece is just an easier way to do it. Now coming to rotary files, what we intend to do is ground down technique. After confirming straight line axis, patency, orifice openers, using orifice opener to remove the coronal dentine and everything, rotary path files or ProGlider, for example, is actually a small taper. ProGlider is a part of ProTaper. It is ProGlide, progressively tapered instrument, progressively tapered. So it does not have a single taper. At the apex, the taper is less, but as it goes to the coronal, the taper is more. After you use ProGlider, it is you can use your ProTaper Gold or S1 if if in a not so curved canal. Okay, it is less than 4% small taper, small tip size. I think the tip size is around 70. The ProGlider by Dentsply is they have got a proprietary technology M-wire in that nickel titanium. That's got progressive taper, and I would always advise you to use progressive taper instead of constant taper for these kind of cases, because constant taper sometimes gives a screw-in effect, because it's like a wood screw inside the wood. Once it screws in, all the files are all the fluids are locked in. You just have to rotate it so that the screw enters, isn't it, on a wood? So similarly in dentine also, if 2 or 3 fluids have screwed in nicely and all the following fluids are also in the same taper, there will be a screw in effect and the file can push your endomotor inside the canal. Many times I have experienced that. So progressive taper in such cases is very helpful there. It won't put, it avoids the screw in effect. Right. Now, after you have done all this, and even between these each file, you have to irrigate. Right, between 8, between 6, between 10, 12, you have to irrigate. You should not work in a dry canal, isn't it? So always flood the chamber with full strength hypo, 5% or at least 3%. What I use is 3. Full strength hypo is what is advised. Do watch winding motion with the hand files. Nowadays, even flexible plastic needles with side winds are available. Always use a side wind needle so that it prevents apical extrusion or apical extrusion of the debris. Okay, you have to be careful that you keep the tip at least 1 to 2 mm short of apex to prevent apical extrusion. And just irrigation is not enough. Once you have enlarged the canal, you have to start activating the irrigant. Okay, there is a lot of parts where the file does not reach. File will not be able to reach. There might be lateral canals, there might be biofilms. It is not physically possible for file to reach each and every part of the canal, isn't it? So that shaping is what the file does. Cleaning is done by irrigants. For activation in the straight part, you can use ultrasonic, which gives the best energy. It breaks the biofilms and everything. For the curved part, you can use sonic. I'll show you the pictures. Yeah, this is the Canal Pro hypochlorite, which I have. I prefer this. I would advise it because of this cap. They have got a very good cap here where you can, twist it and pull in your lure lock syringe. There is 0 wastage, 1, and your 0 droplets fall onto your pants, your dresses, your patient's dress. They all don't bleach. Okay, this is a very good innovation by them. This is a Dentsply True Anatomy irrigation needle. Yeah, can you see this? The flexible needle. It is even length marked like your rotary files 18, 19, 20. It is less than 4% the taper. It will easily go negotiate the tiny curvature, whatever sharp curvature is there, and it can release the irrigating liquid hypochlorite at the apex and clean out all the debris, flush out all the debris. It is a part of the True Anatomy system recently introduced. Very good, especially for these curved canals. Yeah, these are the sonic irrigants that sonic irrigation material equipments that I use. Glynn and one power closer is also I have. Right, these are the ultrasonic tips. One is a diamond coated, 2 diamond coated. These are endo chucks, which you can put your endo files, sonic files inside and vibrate using the canal. Now, coming to what can go wrong, right? What can go wrong? The torsional loading, file separation. That is the first thing what we all are scared of, isn't it? So file separation is either because of 2 things. Either it will be of torsional loading or it will be cyclic fatigue. Okay, total loading is because the file tip binds and the top keeps on turning, isn't it? That should not happen in our curve, in our scenario, because we have already pre-flared the canal, we have already made a glide path, so total loading does not happen. It happens only if you don't pre-flare it enough, or if you have forced the file and the file tip has entered into the dentine and locked into the dentine and the top part keeps on turning. Okay. Now, coming to cyclic fatigue, that is what happens. It is because of alternate compression and tension. It's very common in curved canals. Or if you use this is a small video. Uh, right. Yeah. You can see the tip is locked inside, but if the top keeps on turning and it will, that is the total loading. Okay. And coming to cyclic fatigue, alternate, like I told you, alternate compression and tension. One, this is a copper wire, alternate compression. This part gets, one part gets compressed, and other part gets tension loaded, and then it starts to break. In our case, if it's a nitty, it will be, you won't find it like this. It will be a snap, quick snap. Okay, another failure that can happen is a ledge formation. That is because failure to assess the curvature preoperatively, or failure to use a recurved canal, inadequate irrigation, larger diameter files in a curved canal, or not using files in a sequential manner. Okay, ledge formation. You have to use a pre-curved canal. Inadequate irrigation if there is a debris stuck onto the walls and there is a blockage, and then again you force the file inside. Larger diameter files in a curved canal without enough enlargement of the curved canal, and not using the files in sequential. If you jump from 10, then and if the 10 goes easily and then you jump onto 20, then that's a short case of ledge formation. Yeah, this was a curve that is to be negotiated by this file, but since this file is too large and it is not able to negotiate, and you then again start pushing it inside, the ledge forms. Ledge will always form on the outer curvature, outer side of the root. Okay, what you need to do is recurve a smaller file, feel the inner canal curvature with your pre-curved smaller file, and then do selective debridement of the selective filing of the outer side of the canal, and negotiate and include this ledge also into the canal. I know, like I told you, it is very easy to show on the computer screen, but it can be done. Okay, with patience, this is actually curve canals is all about patience. With enough patience, you can negotiate all these things. Just need to form a mental picture what is actually happening, and right, sometimes it just happens. Now, another error that can happen, iatrogenic error, is strip perforation because of vigorous filing, or because there is too much, that the file was too sharp and you have exerted a lot of pressure. This is a danger zone on a curved molar. This curvature, the inner side, is a danger zone. What you need to, this is where it gets the strip perforation most commonly happens. So what you need to do is anti-curvature filing, meaning the file, once you insert into this, you have to direct the file outside towards the outer surface of the canal. Okay, and this is how you stop you prevent strip perforation. But the files are directed away from the danger zone, and towards the bulk of the canal, not onto the furcation. Another technique which we have been following, but Dr. Antonis Chernopoulos, he has popularized this technique, is that use controlled memory files. You're not a normal NITI file. This technique is called TCA, tactile control activation. Use your controlled memory rotary files, controlled memory files like HyFlex or E3 by Azure, PO, that is by Endostar, CM, HyFlex CM or HyFlex EDM. All these files, they don't have shape memory. They have got zero shape memory. You can, once you know which side the file curves, you can curve the file and insert it into the canal with your hand or inside the endomotor without activating the endomotor. Okay, and then once it you get maximum engagement of the fluids with the dentine inside a curved canal. Attach your endomotor into the file and then do short amplitude up and down motion, just one or twice. Okay, since you already have a glide path and the tip is non-cutting, and you have already pre-curved the file, what you're doing is progressive enlargement, the crown down, progressive enlargement of the apical part. From crown, you are entering into the apex. Okay, that is the torque, the tactile control activation technique. Yeah, this is the flow chart regarding that. After access opening, you have to gain patency with hand files, and all these things is normal. Hand files or pro glider, and after you get a glide path, you have to mount the file on a hand piece, and then till the first point of resistance without switching on the hand piece, you insert it. And after that, you activate the motor, push apically just one stroke till the point of the resistance, remove it out, withdraw from the canal, clean the fluid, check for deformation if any. If there is any deformation, take another file. Okay, because these are very stressful moment for the file. And after that, irrigate, check patency, repeat all steps, and finally you will reach the apex. You have to continue this until you reach the apex. Okay. You have to use controlled memory files, NITI files which does not have the shape memory. You can pre-curve the rotary files with your hand, HyFlex CM or EDM, and even E3 Azure by Endostar. Now, last, we are coming to the end of it. After and during irrigation, during shaping, please don't forget irrigation and activation. If it is your irrigation and activation which removes all that debris and creates a glide path, empties the glide path. If the glide path is filled with debris, dented with debris, there is you will get a block canal. So please don't forget irrigation and activation. Irrigation, hypo, EDTA, whatever is needed, that is an entirely different topic. Hopefully I'm right on time. Yes, 8:30. Yeah, and obturation, just one more slide. Obturation is you have to do apical gorging. You have to get an apex. You have to get Gatapacha guide with which you can guide the apical width of the working width of the Gatapacha. After that, you have to take a master cone working length, a master cone radiograph, and then confirm that, and then do your obturation. Curved canals can always be very, very tricky. Thank you. That brings to the end of my presentation. If any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask. This is my clinic. Recently started, just less than 1 year at Kozhikode, and that's my phone number. I'm sorry, that's completely. If there are any questions, you can ask. If you have any doubts, either ask now or you can WhatsApp me if you have any doubts later on. Get back to me with your X-rays. I'll help as much as possible. I'm also associated with a small endo workshop classes also. Let's see. Just get back to me. We will do. Okay. Any questions? Let me just see the chat. Okay. Hopefully, I'll stop the share now. If there are any doubts, please let me. You can unmute yourself and ask me. Or you can message in the chat box. Which sealer is based? Calcium hydroxide based or resin based? Calcium hydroxide based sealers like Seal Apex, they have a tendency to resorb. So sealer based, if you can control your apical, if you have got great control over your apical preparation, if you are sure that GP will not get extruded, the sealer will not get extruded. A bit of sealer extruding is okay, but a lot of sealer, and then resin based is good actually. That gives the best seal. Then resin base is good if you're doing warm vertical compaction. Minimal sealer is needed for warm vertical compaction. But if you're going for lateral cold compaction, then I guess our normal zinc oxide eugenol sealer is more than enough. Calcium hydroxide sealers can be used if there is any periapical pathology. Yeah. Chances are the calcium hydroxide sealers might get resorbed. After 3 months, after 2 months, after a year and all, if you take a post-op radiograph or review radiograph, sometimes the sealer which was extruded into the bone, calcium hydroxide sealer, they might get resorbed.
Hello, Unni.
Right, sir.
ഒന്ന് ഇറിഗേഷന്റെ പ്രോട്ടോകോളും ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് ബ്രീഫായിട്ട് ചെറുതായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു.
Irrigation, എനിക്ക് 2-3 cases I have made a lot of mistakes. I have even had a hypo accidents and everything. So after all that, I'm very scared to use inject full strength hypo into the canal. So what I would like to tell you is what we are trying is we are irrigating the canal. We are not injecting the canals. So don't force your hypo into the canal. Flood the chamber with hypo and then work when you work with your rotary, work with inside the flooded pulp chamber with hypo. And then when you irrigate, when you try to remove that debris out, you can use saline. Everyone says that you must use full strength hypo. Yes, full strength hypo is the best. That gives the best results, but it might not be always feasible for everyone. It's all a matter of technique. You just have to practice. Right. And then irrigate after every file that you introduce into the canal. You have to take it out, recapitulate with the previously used file or with the file which reaches the apex. Okay, suppose you have a negotiated till the apex up to 2% 25 hand file, nickel titanium 2% 25, you have negotiated up to the apex. That is your master apical file currently. That is a file which reaches the apex. So between each file, even if a rotary, if it's ProGlider, whatever, you have to irrigate, recapitulate, and then again irrigate with this 2% 25 until you reach your apical area with your rotary file. How to bypass S-shaped canals? Take one canal at a time, one curve at a time. S-shape is a combination of two curves, right? So first do coronal enlargement, and then once you reach apex, apical, then do the apical enlargement. Yeah, the patience is the key. You have to give at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours, might be for just bypassing, shaping these canals. Then regarding irrigation, final rinse, you can give EDTA to remove all that dentinal debris, to flush out all the dentinal debris, to remove the smear layer. Citric acid has also been beneficial. Chlorhexidine has been used for removing that for a bio antibiotic action, antimicrobial action, not antibiotic, sorry, antimicrobial action. Always remember to activate it. You can activate irrigation by heating it. You can use heated hypo, or you can use activated using ultrasonics or sonics. Ultrasonics is the best. It gives better acoustic streaming and all that. It gives out all that energy. It will hit onto the biofilms and thrash all the biofilms out. But you have to be careful that your your sonic files don't touch the dentine walls. If they do, the gouging of the dentine walls can happen.
Hello, only what is the final rinse after you using the EDTA?
It would probably be saline, sir. That is the best bet.
That will be the final rinse.
Yes, sir. That is.
And what is the final file you'll be using after?
See, that depends on your apical enlargement, what you have done till what. That will depend on the curvature also. And these curved canals don't go to your greater taper files, your 6% greater taper files. I would, if it was me, I think maximum would be 35-4%. Anything more than that there's a chance of breakage in these curved canals.
So you use the final rinse and then again use the final file and
No.
then again use the final rinse.
Yes, sir. Final rinse. That's മനസ്സിലായില്ല sir.
Will be saline.
Yeah, final rinse is saline to be safe.
Not betadine or chlorhexidine.
Chlorhexidine can be used as a final saline, final irrigation. If you are giving, if it is, you are keeping it for if you're going to keep it for the next sitting, then you can give chlorhexidine as a final rinse. So that chlorhexidine stays inside the canal and has some antimicrobial action over that 1 week.
So you say that chlorhexidine has a better effect than betadine.
Yes, sir. 2% chlorhexidine has got better effect.
Okay, right. Thank you.
പീരിയാപ്പിക്കൽ പാത്തോളജി ഉള്ള കേസിലെ ഇറിഗേഷൻ എന്ത് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാനുണ്ട്? ഇറിഗേഷനും അതുപോലെ ഇന്റർകനാൽ മെഡിക്കമെന്റ്സും എന്തൊക്കെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാനുള്ളത്?
അത് പുറത്തോട്ട് see, periapical, you just have what you're doing is you're not doing anything to the periapical pathology. What you're doing in root canal is you're cleaning the canals. Your all instrumentation and all your intracanal medicaments should be restricted inside the canal only. Once you sufficiently clean the canal, seal it, apical seal, coronal seal, if there is no further infection, that periapical pathology should heal. That is the theory. So, അതില് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാൻ എന്താ ഉള്ളതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ സാറേ, അപെക്സ് നമ്മൾ നന്നായിട്ട് ക്ലീൻ ആക്കുക. Reach the apex, do a nice irrigation, activate your irrigation, and then if you want to give for 2 sittings, you can give intracanal medicament, calcium hydroxide, intracanal medicaments, and then you can review. Once you get a dry canal there, see periapical pathology alla case like what happens is that you might not get a dry canal, you might always get a weeping canal. So clean your canals properly, irrigate nicely. If you're not getting a dry canal, put calcium hydroxide, water soluble calcium hydroxide, and give a nice coronal seal. Recall the patient after 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. That should. Is 4%? Another question has come: is 4% sufficient in curved canals? Ma'am, if you go anything more than 4%, there is a greater chance of file separation there. So limit your file to 4%. Increased taper files were advocated when because once the taper is enlarged, the irrigants can go down, reach the apex, collect all that debris, and come up, isn't it? Now, since you have better irrigation activation devices, you can heat the hypo, you can sonic, ultrasonic, and then you have delivery tips which reach up to the apex. See, even the Dentsply, the newest thing, the True Anatomy system is only 4%. So 4% is actually enough if you irrigate and clean sufficiently. Yes.
Hi, Unni.
Sir. Hello.
Wonderful presentation indeed.
Thank you, sir. Surya, sir.
Arish bhai ചോദിച്ച doubts ഒക്കെ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ച doubt ആണ് കേട്ടോ. എന്റെ doubts ആണ് അവിടെ clear ചെയ്തത്. Okay. Anyway, good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. There was a huge participation. I'm very humble to see. Once I checked and I saw 75 members. Wow. Thank you all. Anything else which I can clear? It's already 8:45. We have crossed our time. Shaju sir, ഇനിയൊന്നും ഇല്ലാന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
Okay.
Wind up ചെയ്തല്ലോ.
Wind up ചെയ്യാം.
അതെ.
2 വാക്ക് പറഞ്ഞോട്ടെ ഇടയ്ക്ക്.
Yes sir.
നമ്മളെ ഇതിപ്പോ 35th വെബിനാർ ആണ്. നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം കുറച്ച് കുറെ ആൾക്കാർ കയറിയിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ ആയപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് വല്ലാണ്ട് കുറഞ്ഞ് 20 പേര് 15 പേരിലൊക്കെ എത്തിപ്പോയി. പക്ഷെ ഇതും നടത്തുമ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കര ടെൻഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഉണ്ണിക്ക് ഇത്രമാത്രം ആരാധകരുണ്ടെന്നുള്ള അറിഞ്ഞില്ല. 75-80 മുകളിൽ കയറിയിട്ടുണ്ട് ഉണ്ണി. 80 മുകളിൽ കയറിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിനകത്ത് 80 കയറിനകത്ത് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഏകദേശം ഒരു 70 പേരോളം ഫുൾ ടൈം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇത് ഈ ഒരു സബ്ജക്ട് ഇത് മാത്രമല്ല, ഇനിയിപ്പം കാൽസിഫൈഡ് കനാലും ഇനിയിപ്പോ ഉണ്ണിക്ക് ധൈര്യമല്ല. ഇനിയിപ്പം കാൽസിഫൈഡ് കനാല് പിന്നെ അപ്പെക്സിഫിക്കേഷൻ ഇങ്ങനത്തെ കുറച്ച് കൊനസ്റ്റ് സബ്ജക്റ്റുകൾ ഉണ്ണിക്ക് തരുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് എടുത്ത് സഹായിച്ചു തരണം. നമുക്ക് എന്താ പറയാ, നിങ്ങളുടെ നിന്ന് കേൾക്കും കുറച്ചുകൂടി സമാധാനമുണ്ട്. എന്താ പറയുക, കുറച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കുറച്ച് എളുപ്പമുണ്ട്. എന്തുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മളത്ര പരിചയമുള്ളതുകൊണ്ടോ എന്തോ ആകട്ടെ, നമ്മൾ തന്നെ ഓൺ മെമ്പറാണ്. ഏതായാലും ഇത് സന്തോഷം. ഇത്ര ആൾക്കാർ കയറിയല്ലോ. ഈ കയറിയ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഐഡിയ മലബാറിന്റെ സ്പെഷ്യൽ താങ്ക്സ്. പിന്നെ നാളെ മറ്റന്നാളും 2 വരുന്നുണ്ട്. കേൾക്കുക, സഹകരിക്കുക. എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്ദി. സിൻസിയർ താങ്ക്സ് ടു ഉണ്ണി.
Sincere thanks to Idea Malabar also. Thank you so much. ഇത്രയൊന്നും
അടുത്ത ഡേറ്റ് കൺട്രോൾ ഇപ്പൊ തന്നെ സ്ലൈഡൊക്കെ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തോ. ഇത് 2 ചെയ്യണം. ഒന്ന് കാൽസിഫൈഡ് കനാലും പിന്നെ ഒന്ന് അപ്പെക്സിഫിക്കേഷനും. അതാണ് ഞാൻ പണ്ട് തൊട്ടേ തുടക്കം തൊട്ടേ ഞാൻ പറയുന്നതാണ്. ഉണ്ണിക്ക് എന്തോ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് കയറാൻ ധൈര്യമില്ല. ഉണ്ണി ഇങ്ങനെ പുറകോട്ട് നിൽക്കായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പൊ ഏതായാലും എനർജി ആയല്ലോ, ഏതായാലും ഭംഗിയായിട്ട്. ഇനി അടുത്ത 2 വെബിനാർ 2020 പ്രോഗ്രാം തന്നെ തീർന്നു. ഇനി 20 ദിവസം ഇല്ല, ഇനി 15 ദിവസം കൂടെ ഉള്ളൂ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Ready ആക്കാം. Now, okay. Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. അതെ. Good night all.
Thank you, Unni. Bye. Good
Bye,
night.
sir. Bye, Hari sir. Right.
Bye.